Hi guys and welcome to Winners and Losers. Today we're going to be analysing the semi-final games that have just been. Joining me as ever in the studio is Patrick Van Straten. Pato, who and where are we starting, mate?
We have to start with the hosts who played Germany last night, beating them 2-0 to secure their place in the final. Now this was a really interesting game. Both teams came out of the block at high speed, and Germany were absolutely incredible in the first half. They seemed to play their way through France with ease. France stuck with the 4-2-3-1 shape that they'd used against Iceland, and it was perhaps a little bit of folly by Didier Deschamps, who assumed that that would be defensively solid enough to keep the Germans at bay. As a result, France looked a little bit porous at the back. However, they still managed to go in 1-0 up at half-time after a slightly contentious penalty decision. Bastian Schweinsteiger, who is now the record appearance maker in international tournaments, he's made 38 appearances at the Euros and the World Cup, gave away a silly penalty and Antoine Griezmann stuck it in the back of the net. In the second half, France kind of switched to a 4-4-2. They brought on Conte for Payet, and they really shelled pretty well, and they always had that outball to Giroud and Griezmann. Germany, in fact, didn't have a shot on target between the 25th minute and the 93rd minute for all their dominant possession, but they really were dominant. Mesut Ozil had as many passes in the final third as France did as a team altogether, which is pretty incredible. But it wasn't enough on the night, and it all came down to the performance of one man who Joe wants to talk about.
Yeah, have to talk about Antoine Griezmann. What a stunning day at the office for the little man. He was involved all game. That link play, you talked about it there, Patrick, with Olivier Giroud was fantastic. They got that system down to a T. The knockdowns from Olivier Giroud, working off the back, works really, really well for them. Griezmann now has 6 goals at the European Championships 2016. To put that into perspective, how amazing that is, we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo equaling Michel Platini's 9 goals to be the top scorer in the history of the competition. He scored 6 goals at one tournament. It's taken Ronaldo 4 tournaments to score 9. Griezmann in particular, an amazing day at the office. Some other individual performances I want to touch on. Wasn't particularly impressed by Manuel Neuer on the day. Now this is a goalkeeper who we all know is probably the best in the world, but when it comes down to the crunch, he didn't have his best day yesterday. He's flapped at a poor cross from Paul Pogba. It's cost his side a second goal. Contrast, Hugo Lloris, fantastic yet again. Of course, that amazing save going back left. His distribution was also fantastic all day. He was actually France's second most passes in the game behind Paul Pogba, who only made 35. Hugo Lloris made 33. So an impressive day for Hugo Lloris and Antoine Griezmann. However, Manuel Neuer, you let yourself down a little bit yesterday.
Well, before Griezmann, the last Frenchman to score against Germany in a competitive match was Alain Giresse in the semi-final of the 1982 World Cup. That's absolutely incredible. So they've really broken the voodoo last night. In fact, France hadn't beaten Germany in a competitive game since 1958. But they've done it now. They're in the final, and it's their chance to win a 3rd international tournament on home soil. So good luck, France, and we'll see you on Sunday.
The other semi-final was, of course, Portugal-Wales, and the Portuguese came out 2-0 victors on the night to ensure a final spot. What did you think of the game, Pato?
I thought that things were pretty easy for Portugal. I thought they managed to keep the Welsh at arm's length. The Welsh, as we know, were missing Aaron Ramsey. He's averaged 2.22 key passes a game during his tournament in France, whereas his replacement on the night, Andy King, failed to provide 1. And really, though Wales had the majority of the possession, it was all in pretty easy areas for Portugal to deal with. In fact, Wales took 8 passes to make 1 pass in the final third, whereas Portugal, for every 4 passes they made, had 1 in the final third. So it really shows the speed at which Portugal were able to get up the pitch and how easily they were able to prevent Wales getting into their area. I was really impressed by Portugal. This is despite the absence of Pepe. But I thought Wales made some really strange mistakes. They had Gareth Bale taking indirect free kicks into the box. This is a guy who scored 9 headed goals last season, which is the most I could find of any player in Europe, above Ronaldo, above Giroud, and all the guys who we think of as very dominant in the air. They also had certain limitations of their squad exposed. Simon Church came on in the second half as a substitute when Wales needed to change the game all they had was a guy from League One team MK Dons. That really shows the disparity between these two sides.
Yeah, and talking of disparity, I think it was fairly clear between the two sets of strikers in this game how Robson-Kanu, who didn't have a shot and only touched the ball 14 times, whereas Cristiano Ronaldo was at it again. He took 9 shots in this game. That is a huge number, and as ever, he was the man who dragged Portugal into a final. An unbelievable header, amazing hang time. People have talked about how high he was off the ground. When he headed the ball, he was 8.5 foot off the ground. Incredible stuff. For me, probably his best header since Roma away back in 2008 for Manchester United in the Champions League. I'm sure you'll remember him arriving at the back post there. And in this game, similarly, what a fantastic header. All day, he was very impressive. He has now equalled Michel Platini as the European Championships all-time highest goal scorer. He was fantastic, and when it came down to it, the battle before it was going to be Gareth Bale versus Cristiano Ronaldo, wasn't it? That sort of Galacticos battle on the pitch, and when it came down to the crunch, Cristiano Ronaldo came out on top here. Gareth Bale tried a little bit too hard. He was trying to drop too deep, like you talked about there, whereas Cristiano Ronaldo knew his game. He never does any defensive work anyway. He was happy to sit up front, play as the out ball for Portugal with Renato Sanchez's driving runs. He just dropped into space and worked very well for Ronaldo, which it usually does. Scores his goals as ever. It's now 122 shots he's taken at the European finals. That is incredible. Throughout all time, that is, of course. 122 shots, overtakes Thierry Henry as the most shots in the competition's history. He just loves to shoot, but he does score his goals, Ronaldo, doesn't he?
Well, he's incredibly effective. He now has 14 goals and assists at the Euros since 2004. The second highest total is Cesc Fabregas with 8. So that really shows how dominant Cristiano Ronaldo has been at the competition. But will he finally get his hands on the trophy? In his very first tournament at Euro 2004, he got to the final only to fall to Greece. So we will see on Sunday whether Cristiano Ronaldo will prove himself a European champion. So those were our thoughts on the Euro 2016 semi-finals. But what did you think, and who do you think will win the tournament? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you go and check out yesterday's viral footy news, where I was joined by Dave Jackson from All Time Tens. It's a pretty funny episode, so click on screen right now to watch that. And if you enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe.
Catch you next time.